Recording started. So we have it. Welcome to day three of the Beyond the Food Weight Loss Summit. We've made it to day three. Virtual high five, by the way, for those who are hanging in there and grabbing the content and grabbing the gifts. And you might be in Facebook group and like being a sponge with everything. By the way, I've posted trivia questions from the speakers. So, speakers, when you're in the Facebook group, it is that if that's your trivia question, just say, "Hey, that's me," in there. Perfectly cool. Because there's a square on the bingo card. Answer a trivia question about the speaker. So, welcome everyone. If you're not familiar with me, you should be by now. You're in the summit. My name is Pamela Pedrick. I'm the creator and the host of the summit. And busy women come to me when they are ready to ditch the yo-yo dieting, the constant weight regain, and the fatigue, and they want holistic, natural solutions that'll work for their own unique bodies because they want to release weight now instead of later. And when they work with me via my Beyond the Fork Academy, we help them to balance their blood sugar, lower their inflammation, find the foods that are right for their own unique body, and as a result, they release the weight and they feel light and free and they get fit as well. So we have day three today. So I see Cindy, I see Julie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the speakers who haven't been on a Q&A just yet. And what I want you to just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and I'll ask you some questions. And as you're talking, I'm going to post a link to your gift in the comment section so that people can grab it as well. So let's start with you, Cindy. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you. I am glad to be here. So I am an integrative and functional nutritionist. So I've been practicing for over 30 years, really trying to help people who have been struggling and not getting answers, not getting listened to just dive in and identify root possibilities of what's going on and how can we get you functioning better, feeling better, and managing what other type of health conditions they're dealing with. And that's through nutrition and lifestyle, including the environment and all the chemicals and toxins out there. So I do have a private practice where I do one-on-one and group programs, as well as a lot of continuing education courses for health practitioners.
Awesome. And so your talk, what your talk is about and your gift as well.
Yeah, so toxic truths. So really diving in to understand how these different environmental chemicals and toxins impact our health and our weight. So they really are disruptive to our body weight and fat as well as our metabolic functioning. So they can really disrupt us from not being able to get into fat burning modes. We stay in sugar burning mode. And also in regards to weight, because they're fat loving. So they seek out our fat cells and they can actually create more fat cells. So it's just really identifying where these are coming from. How can we lessen that burden on our bodies and support the detoxification efforts? So that's the good news. I know it can be overwhelming at times, but there's a lot of things we can do. Free gift. So there is a menopause guide. So just like top five non-negotiables for women going through perimenopause, menopause, and then also have access to a free month of the fasting reset, which is a fasting mimicking program. So it's a 5 day a month where you prepare your own meals and really help your body kind of reset metabolically.
Yeah, and that one is in the Weight Freedom Pack. So for those of you who purchase and upgrade your ticket to the Weight Freedom Pack, you have access to Cindy's bonus gift there as well. And so we're talking about, toxins and chemicals and endocrine disruptors. You don't know what you don't know. So maybe this is no information for you, and you're like, holy crap, what's going on? Can you explain a little bit, for those who are very new to understanding what this really does to our body and why it's difficult to release the fat or to burn the fat?
So what they're doing, I mean, a lot of these are what you just said. So endocrine disrupting, meaning they disrupt our hormones. And so they can mimic a lot of our hormones. And so that just causes a disruption in our own ability to manage and balance them. Plus, there are ones that are considered obesogens, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're causing us to store more fat because that's where they love to hang out. and then we can build more fat cells. So it's really difficult. The metabolic piece, diabetogens, so they're going to grab hold of the insulin receptors and make us more insulin resistant versus receptive, which is what we want. We want to be metabolically strong, which means you can go from being a sugar burner to a fat burner. And a lot of us are stuck not being able to do that. And that becomes really important in this stage of life for women because we are just becoming less metabolically flexible. And that's related to our estrogen dropping. And so we have to do things differently to help us get back our metabolic strength, so to speak. Does that help, Pamela?
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have any questions about that? I love obesogens. You said diabetogens. I can never
Diabetogen.
pronounce that
I know.
correctly.
Xenoestrogens, so those are those estrogen
Yeah.
mimickers. And yeah, there's so many different terms out there.
Yeah, and fat can definitely be a protective mechanism, and we're yelling at our bodies, why release the fat? But our body's going, yo, sister, I'm really trying to help you out here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, what is with working with the women that you work with, what is one common kind of mistake or things that they're doing because they don't know what they don't know, might be diet mentality or something like that, that is really preventing them from seeing the results that they want?
In regards to toxins,
Yeah, or anything in general, whatever. What's the most common thing that you kind of see women doing that is really an obstacle to them seeing results?
well, I think just in general is we as women, we are going all in. We're a lot of times black and white, so we feel like we have to either go all in or all out. So that's one piece. I really try to help women find the gray. Like it's not a black and white situation. We have to realize how we can do this sustainably and healthfully. But also that, with this whole transition into menopause, we are becoming less metabolically flexible. We are carrying weight around our midsection. So we're seeing transformations in our body that we don't like. And so what do? We really dial back what we're eating and then we are exercising more. So we're
Mm.
stressing our body out even more and then we're seeing things move in the wrong direction. So it's not working harder, it's just working smarter. And it is like we have to understand what's happening in our body to know, well, what do I need to do to adjust? So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a huge shift, but we do need to shift what we do.
Yeah.
So that's what I see is we're working too hard and it feels like we're just kind of running in place because nothing is happening.
Yeah, yeah. And we had the conversation on yesterday's session, like things that we've done in the past aren't going to work in this season of life because of all the years of, what we've done to our bodies, so to speak. And, add in the fact with the adrenal fatigue and adrenal burnout and the impact our adrenals have had because of lifestyle factors, high stress environments. So when it does come to toxins and chemicals, what is maybe one foundational thing, one step women can do to kind of alleviate that burden for themselves?
So in regards to the burden, I think it's just being aware of what we're using, what we're exposing ourselves to on a daily basis. So I think as a general rule, women, the average woman, we're all different,
Mhm.
but we'll have like 186 plus chemicals on our bodies before we even start our day. And it's just in everything we use. I mean, our hair products, our
Yeah.
cosmetics, our personal products, our cleaning products. We tend to be the cleaner in the house in most
Yeah.
case scenarios. So it's just everywhere. Plastics. I mean, plastics are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. So if you really think about where plastic is coming from, it's just overwhelming. I mean, we can't get rid of it, but we can lessen it. So I think it's just being cognizant of where are these sources coming from, and then what are some resources that you can use to find healthier alternatives
Yeah.
that are not as disruptive.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember which podcast I was listening to a couple weeks ago, but they were saying, the plastic bottles, like you go to the grocery store and you buy these packs of bottles of water, and I live in hot as heck Florida, so definitely not good. But he said by the time we drink, we consume about a credit card's worth of plastic from those bottles, like a day. I was like, holy smack. That is Like, and you think about it, the credit card's worth of plastic, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're exposed to it in a variety of different ways. Absolutely, which is why I was like, thank you so much for speaking to this topic because more women need to know about it, and understanding that this can be a big, obstacle to releasing the weight because the body's producing fat to protect you from
100%.
that toxic overload.
100%.
Absolutely. So, last question. You hear a lot about detoxes and, the various different things on social media, do this detox or take this supplement or take this. Should we or shouldn't we?
It's a great question. It's a depends question. It really depends on our organs of detox. How well are they working? Because if you're constipated, if your
Yes.
lymph system is sluggish, if you're a very shallow breather, your skin, you're not sweating very much, we don't really have the great detox support coming from those organs. So we certainly don't want to embark on a major detox program. So we're going to feel worse because you're going to dump the toxins out of your cells and your fat stores and you can't get rid of it. So I think it depends on where they are. So I really try to focus on let's make sure
Yeah.
your gut is functioning, your organs of detox are working. You've got the right nutrition coming in to support those pathways of detoxification. And then let's dive in. But
Yeah.
I also am a big proponent of testing. Like, let's find out what you're dealing with, because there's so many different toxins and we're all dealing with different types. So that also depends on maybe what type of binder or supplement or
Yeah.
nutritional plan would be best tailored for you. So it's not a one size fits all for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I always like to educate women if you have mold exposure, you're going to be detoxing a whole lot differently because I personally have experienced that and went through I did the whole look on social media, do this detox, and I was sick because I wasn't able to get rid of the toxins efficiently. Then I was like, oh, when I learned more about what happens and why I'm going through what was going through, I was like, that makes complete sense. Exercise intolerance, I had it all. Like
Yeah, and I
skin
think because of this
sensitivity.
metabolic inflexibility in the season of life, we are a little more prone to the susceptibility of the toxins that we're exposed to. I mean, I personally we had the mold toxins as well, Pamela, and I thought I just gained the menopause 10. I went up 10 pounds but then I became pre-menopause or pre-diabetic. I'm like, I've never
Mm,
had metabolic issues before. And
yeah.
then so when I did the testing, I was full of mold. And so that,
Yes.
going into a mold detox, it's like I dropped that weight super fast. And then, when I retested, I'm finally out of the pre-diabetic range. But it just shows that we all have different things.
Yeah,
I got to
absolutely.
do things differently, but know how it does affect
And we
our
could do
body.
like a whole 2 hours just on mold
Oh
on
my gosh.
itself.
Yeah.
And until you're one that it's you're one of those people, it's like you don't realize just what can happen to your body and why your body is doing what it's doing. Thank you so much, Cindy. I did post Cindy's
Absolutely.
link to her freebie in the comment section below. And Cindy spoke on day 2. But if you want to work around, you might have noticed already that excuse me, day 1, even though day 1's closed, you can still grab the gifts. Just FYI, there is a way. It's called the agenda. The gifts are still up for grabs. FYI. Thank you so much, Cindy. We're going to talk. Vanessa, welcome. Got
Hi
Vanessa. I'm
there.
going to
How are
post her
ya?
gift in the comments. Hello, hello, hello. So tell us about who you are, what you do, your talk title, and your gift.
Sure. So I'm a registered dietitian. I've been working with busy moms who are trying to lose weight through sustainable methods. So I don't focus on any specific restrictive diets. It's all about building the habits that you can instill lifelong to lose weight and keep it off because it's not just about how much weight you lose next month, but what's your weight a year from now. So my talk is insulin resistance, the hidden barrier to weight loss, because I see a lot of people struggling with that issue of balancing blood sugar and it's impacting their insulin levels. And then that in turn is impacting their weight. So, my talk is all about how to balance the blood sugar with sustainable methods, things that people can implement easily, step by step, so that they can tackle that and release the weight and keep it off for good.
Absolutely. So I posted a link to her gift down there below. Insulin resistance. It used to be, back in the day, a lot of people didn't really hear about it. But now you're hearing more about it. So I'm curious from your perspective or from your experience, is it's always been there, or we're just actually seeing it more because of lifestyle issues?
Yeah, I think it's always been there. I think people have not recognized that that's like the initial trigger to a lot of weight gain
Hmm.
and to development of prediabetes and eventually diabetes. And I think more with all these weight loss medications, and especially as I've seen in weight loss clinics trying to get the approval of some
Yeah.
of these weight loss medications, having doctors actually test people's fasting insulin has been really helpful to show, like, hey, like, even though maybe your blood sugar numbers are great now, your insulin levels are high, which means your body is overproducing insulin because it's not responding to the insulin that you're making. And I mean, the whole role of insulin is to take that sugar and bring it into the different cells of the body to utilize it. So if we're not doing that, then we continue to overproduce insulin because we still have that sugar in the bloodstream. So I think it's a little bit of having more of that testing available and having doctors more readily actually ask for those labs. I mean, I don't know how often it's still being done, but I think
Hmm.
in weight loss clinics and blood sugar management, it's being done a lot more than it used
Yeah.
to. So we are hearing more about it now, even though I think it has been around for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at least from, because I have a friend who she just found out she's insulin resistant, and I'm like, didn't they test for that prior? Because she was having weight issues. And she goes, can they really test for it? I'm like, yeah. So I think even with some providers, you don't know what you don't know, are they educated on, insulin resistance and what to test for? So if someone's thinking, okay, am I insulin resistant or not, what labs, if you can educate those who are watching and watching the replay as well, like what labs should providers be doing or what can they ask for and be an advocate for their own health?
Yeah, so asking for a fasting insulin lab, so that's going to test how much your body's producing. So that'll tell us if you're overproducing insulin, which is a significant sign that your body is not responding to the insulin you're making. Also, like hemoglobin A1C is a great indicator that somebody usually has insulin resistance. So that would be your average blood sugar over the last 3 months. And so then that will say, okay, if that's elevated, you likely have some insulin resistance. And then even the morning glucose test, like a fasting blood sugar
Mhm.
test, then that may be an indicator of insulin resistance as well.
Yeah, yeah. And the A1C, I like to say, that doesn't really give you a full picture. I like to look at what the other labs are saying as well, because law of averages state if you're high, low, high, low, high, low, you're going to be normal,
Yeah.
which that's not good either. So I thank you so much for educating us, our participants about that, that insulin,
Yeah, and
because
now there's all these
yeah,
continuous glucometers that people can get
absolutely.
without having to be diabetic, where they can see, it's just I've worn one before just to kind of see. It's
Mhm.
interesting because you could see throughout the day how your blood sugar is moving based on what you eat, based on stress levels, based on sleep, because it's not just what you eat, it's this whole lifestyle
Absolutely.
impact that impacts your blood sugar. So it's
Stress, stress as well. Oh my
oh,
goodness.
stress, yeah, that's a big one. Or
I had a
endocrine
client.
disruptors, right? That could be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I love continuous glucometers. If you have access to it, like I personally recommend, just because you see in real time the impact not only the food, but lifestyle has on your blood sugar. And oftentimes, like my dad's one of them, type 2 diabetic, don't tell me what to eat, what not to eat. Until he got the glucometer, he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize like potatoes or pretzels or like we're causing him to be, I'm not eating sugar, but I'm like, but it turns to sugar. Like you're, so it was really great for him because he got to see in real time, like, don't listen to the nurse in the family, just
Yeah,
what is your glucometer is telling you.
I know. Hey, well, however you can get the buy-in, right?
I love that. I love that. Yeah, so Cindy's posting some information in
Oh
there
yeah,
as
thanks, Cindy.
well. Yes, thank you for letting us know. Yeah, the whole blood sugar, because it's not just for the diabetic or pre-diabetic, like blood sugar regulation is for every single person, like because it drives that inflammation as well. So I'm curious with the women that you work with, are you seeing are they being diagnosed like early on since we're a little bit more well versed in this, so to speak, or are you seeing that they're not being, I'm just curious for the general population, like at what stage are they able to be like, oh yes, I'm insulin resistant. Let's work on
Right.
this.
Yeah, so I have like my part-time practice, and the people that come to me there, no, they're not being diagnosed. I work part-time in a weight loss clinic with bariatric surgery. Yes, they're being diagnosed
Yeah.
there. So I would say majority of the people are not. They're coming and they're struggling with weight gain. They have undiagnosed PCOS,
Yeah.
prediabetes, like all these things that are actually not diagnosed. And like you said, even managing blood sugar, like thinking about managing blood sugar, not just for insulin resistance and weight loss, but I mean, people's mood is so much better, their energy is so much better. There's so many things that it's related to that I think people aren't understanding that link.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, by the way, for those who are listening, feel free to post any questions for any of the speakers that are on our panel today in the comment section or just raise your hand. And speakers, if you have questions too, feel free to post them as well. Not a problem. It's pretty informal with these Q&A panels. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for
Thank
sharing
you.
today. And Jolie, we'll go with you next. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. I'm Coach Julie Krutzy, and I am a certified health coach. I have worked for about 20 years with women who are struggling to lose weight. I now work strictly with women in 40 and over in perimenopause and menopause who have tried multiple different techniques, multiple different restrictive diets to lose weight, and they just are at the point where they're fed up with that and they're looking for lifestyle changes and ways that they can lose weight and keep it off permanently instead of all of the fad diets and the crazy ideas that are out there that we do see, like you mentioned, Pamela, earlier on Instagram. We see these ideas, oh, I'll try that and I'll try that. Oh, this should work, that should work. And just really learning what will work for your individual life. I got into health coaching due to my own experience. I spent about 20 years yo-yo dieting myself, doing a whole bunch of those restrictive diets. And I got to the point that I was actually at my heaviest. I was 1 pound heavier than when I went in to deliver my last child. This was 20 years ago. And I thought, this isn't working. I've tried all of these different things. I've lost weight multiple times and I've always gained it back. I have to do something different. I was at a stage where I could not do another diet plan. And I just really was looking for something that could sustain me for the rest of my life. And so then I started searching for what is it going to take for my lifestyle to be different? And so now as I work with women, I really help them to identify what their life could look like. And what are the habits? What are the behaviors? What are just the mindsets that are keeping them stuck in this loop of the restrictive dieting and losing weight and gaining it back, the yo-yo dieting? And so I'm very passionate about just helping women get past that to figure out, what is going on with my body? What does my body need? And everybody is individual. And so just
Yeah.
really, I work with women both one-on-one, and then I also have some group coaching. I have an online program. My presentation for this summit is the 3 hidden reasons why weight loss feels so hard at this age. And then my gift too that Pamela just posted in the comments is the 3 strategies to manage menopausal weight gain. And so just giving you really 3 concrete strategies that you can put into place today so that you can start seeing that scale move a little bit and just feel better. Because when we put better things in, we get better results out. And so just really helping women to figure out what that will look like for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Julie. And so I'm curious, you talked about the 3, top reasons. What is the one thing that you kind of see the most with the women that you work with as far as the obstacles?
I think a really big obstacle for women is really a lack of knowledge around nutrition because most people, of course, I've studied nutrition for many, many years,
Mhm.
so I have gained a lot of knowledge around that, but the everyday woman doesn't. It's not a priority for them. It's not it's not something that they really take time to learn about other than what they might see on social media or maybe a past diet that they tried. And so just really educating people about nutrition and how different foods affect their body and just really learning what their body needs. Now, as I say that, what comes to my mind too is really a big struggle is the mindset piece, the belief in
Yes.
yourself that Cindy mentioned living in the gray area. And I talk about that a lot with my clients. So many people who have struggled with weight loss are very black and white thinkers. They're all or nothing thinkers. Like, I have to do this diet plan perfectly or I fail. And then they just go to the extreme on the other end. And so just really learning how to live in that imperfection
Yeah.
and that gray area. And that all boils down to your thoughts. And, your thoughts will in turn become your actions. And so if you don't have any belief in yourself that you can lose weight and keep it off,
Hmm.
your actions will show yourself that because you're going to walk in the house and grab that cookie and say, see, I can't lose weight. I can't keep it off. And so it's also looking at those thoughts. What is your mindset? What are you telling yourself? How can you change those thoughts? How can you take control over that? And so really, I know I said nutrition, but as I think about this and talk this through, I think it's more the mindset.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
mindset, it's the belief in yourself that you can make changes and the changes don't have to happen overnight. I work a lot with people with the concept of tiny habits.
Yes.
And BJ Fogg wrote Tiny Habits, if you're not familiar with that book, and just taking things just one micro step at a time instead of making these huge changes that we cannot continue with day in and day out long term. It's making those really
Absolutely.
tiny, small changes that will in time have an effect.
Yeah. I often say small steps will get you to the top. Big
Yes.
steps will, but I've
Yes.
fallen from big steps and I didn't like it. So then took me later to like try those small steps absolutely or small hinges swing big doors, those tiny habits, those everyday habits. So nutrition definitely can be an obstacle for women because we're programmed how to cook a certain way, like we were taught to cook and eat certain
Yes.
foods. I had a good friend of mine who never had a raw vegetable until I had a vegetable tray at an event that I was hosting, and she goes, how do I eat these? And me and my culture going, what do you mean how do you eat these? It's a vegetable tray. Just you can have like a little bit of dip if you want. If not, just eat it raw. She goes, later she pulled me aside. She goes, you don't understand. We never had raw vegetables when I was growing up. And so I
Yeah.
never have them because that's how I grew up. And that just really resonated with me. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that some people have never had a raw vegetable. So definitely nutrition can be an obstacle because then it goes into
Mhm.
play. Well, how do I cook? How to
Right.
prepare these foods? And I was one that my mom would cook healthy foods, but I was the student, so I never really learned until my 30s. And Pinterest, God bless Pinterest, is all I gotta say, because
Mhm.
I got all my recipes or the vlogs, and just kind of was more of a self-taught. So yeah, it can definitely be a learning curve for some people switching that mind mindset of, it's not going to be a quick fix overnight. I often say quick fixes don't
Right.
stick anyway. So,
Right.
um,
And
so
I think a lot of times people will say to me, well, it's just my genetics. I'm
yeah,
overweight. My parents were, my grandparents were, my siblings are, or, they have all of these health conditions and I have them too. And so it is some of it, a portion, a small portion is genetic, but some of it is the lifestyle that we've been taught.
Absolutely.
When you're growing up, you're taught, like you said, you're taught a certain way to cook. Your family eats a certain type of meal. So if you can view that as genetic, but it really is lifestyle and that can be changed. It's that process of learning. How do I change that?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Julie. Don't forget for those who are uh, watching the participants, feel free to ask any questions in the comment thread or raise your hand as well. I know if you just want to absorb, I get it. I get it. Not a problem. Awesome. Brian had to hop off. He'll be back tomorrow. He had a call that was scheduled last minute. Any other speaker that hasn't been on a Q&A that needs to leave? I think I got everyone. I'm just going around the Zoom. Yep, I think I got everyone. Awesome. So we'll go through I'm just going to ask a general question. Any speaker, feel free to ask. But I'm curious when it comes to your own journey, what is something that you never thought you would do that you actually enjoy doing with health and wellness? Something you thought would, or maybe what you thought was too difficult, but you're actually doing. Lita? Lita?
Well, I'll start with the vegetables. I never thought I'd be eating vegetables because I grew up in the family of, you know, corn and potato was the vegetable. And when I started the journey, I actually took a cooking class with forks over knives
Oh,
when I
cool.
became a coach because so much of good nutrition is learning how to cook. And I learned so much. And I hear all the time, right, that, oh, I need to go on a diet and, diets suck and the food is awful and it's bland. And I really just now enjoy vegetables. I've upped my spice tolerance. Like I like it a little spicy now. And so if I was reflecting on it as a kid, I used to slide my peas under the plate. I hated those darn things. And I
Brussels
came
sprouts
from
for
the,
me.
oh, I love Brussels sprouts. My new favorite way is the air fryer with a little sweet
Air
and chili
fryer for
sauce.
the win is
Yeah,
all I gotta say. Totally changed my cooking
yeah,
game. I was like, dude, why this was
yeah.
not invented sooner? Love
Yeah,
air
and
fryer.
I came from the clean your plate club, so I would sit there and flick the food off to the dog as discreetly as possible. Oh my gosh. And now, I just enjoy vegetables. I would have never thought I would. So,
Love it. Yeah. So if anyone's watching, whether it be here on live or the replay, and you're like, I really don't like vegetables, learn from Lita. You can definitely do it. It is possible. I have some clients who are like, I only like this, this, and this. And I'm like, well, I'm going to challenge you to try something else. Awesome.
well,
Julie, I saw you. Go ahead.
I give my clients a list of vegetables and I let them go through and circle because they think they don't like it. And then you find out like you could add in onions and herbs and spices, and that
Yeah.
will also give you nutrient. So I provide them with a list and they go through and circle. And then that helps them go, oh, I do like that. Or bok choy, what the heck is that? I never even heard of that. Like,
Yeah.
so
All
that's what
different.
I
There's
do.
a lot of different varieties of vegetables out there, definitely. And I saw Julie, you raised your hand.
Well, I'm on the same page as Lydia. I'm not a huge fan of salads, but I eat one Monday through Friday for lunch every single day. And I've come to enjoy them. I have figured out what it takes for me to make them, what I have to put in them so that I do enjoy them and like them. I've always liked vegetables, but now I really love vegetables. But I would say the biggest struggle for me was strength training.
Mm.
And I have been a runner my whole life. As I get older, I'm more of a walker than a runner, but I still do a lot of cardio and I love it. And I always said, I don't like to strength train. I don't like to lift weights. And I actually started about a year ago. It'll be a year in June. And I
Congrats.
honestly, I can still say I'm not in love with it. I like it. I'm not in love with it yet, but I think the biggest benefit is just seeing the results. And that's what I really do love. And so again, I, it was funny because about a year ago, I realized I was saying to myself exactly what I hear my clients saying to me is, oh, I don't like to do that. Or I don't know how to do that. And I thought if I keep telling myself I don't like to strength train, I never will. And so I just decided to change my thought process and try it. And, I never thought I would be doing it consistently, but I have for the last year. So pretty excited about that.
Absolutely. I love that. And Leon, you want to share what was a struggle or something that you thought you wouldn't do, but now you love to do?
Yeah, hi. In my early years, so when I was what 10 onwards, let's say late adolescence, the only vegetable I was eating was cabbage,
Mhm.
spinach, potatoes. Now I have to think about it. So nothing. Now I'm vegetarian, been a vegan for quite a few years. didn't work out for me as I thought. So I took a notch down. But yeah, the only thing I don't eat it's everything made with vinegar as a salad-ish or preserved with vinegar. But everything else, more or less, I'm all for it. And except when I'm in Bosnia, then I'm not vegetarian because food is totally different, tastes a lot better. Everything. Just my wife, I don't know what changed. Same recipe for the sweet, for some pie.
Mhm.
Same recipes, but Bosnian ingredients, totally different taste, a lot better. Same oven, by
Yeah.
the way. So I don't know
Cool.
what's different, but it tastes a lot better.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know when I'm here, I don't eat a lot of meat, just a little bit here, a little bit there. That's it. And everything else just vegetables.
Yeah. So yes. So once again, those of you, if you're like, I don't like vegetables, I don't do vegetables, there are many of us here who were thought the same thing.
Yeah.
For me, it was going from cooked to raw. I don't do 100% raw, but I notice my body loves the raw vegetables. And nowadays, unless it's like a sweet potato or broccoli, I really don't like the cooked vegetables so much anymore, which is kind of interesting. My body's just like, give me the raw salad, give me the raw salad. And then Lisa, yep, if you can eat 9 cups of veggies a day, absolutely, that's optimal. 6 if you can, bare minimal, but absolutely. Anyone else want to share, your speaker, something that was a struggle or you thought you'd never do and now you're actually enjoy doing?
I can jump
Melanie.
in, Pamela.
Absolutely.
I think that I was taught my whole life that there were good foods and bad foods.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like dropping the concept of foods being bad, and being able to it was like we were demonizing food,
Yes.
as opposed to addressing like I can still eat chocolate cake and French fries and the things that I love. And if I demonize them, I'm going to want them more, and I might even end up binging them, as opposed to, so these are going to be a part of my every week life, not my everyday life or my every month life.
Mhm.
Like the only morality that should be accepted about food is that there are people who are underserved when it comes to food, but there's no morality behind my choosing a beer and a burger. Vegan, I am. Leon also. So like I should not be beating myself up for it. And so I love that like all food is accepted and
Yes.
loved and enjoyed. It's just some are all the time and some are some of the time foods.
Yes. I often say food is not intrinsically evil.
Right.
I'm like, so I frame it like power foods versus pleasure foods. Power foods your body thrives on. Pleasure foods are the foods that you kind of rotate and pick and choose when and if you're going to eat them. Absolutely, I love it. Thank you for so much for sharing, Melanie, because it is a reframing, like thinking about things in a different perspective, so you not feel so restricted or deprived or like it's too difficult. Kind of a mindset little hack there. Thank you for sharing that. And I posted Leon's and Melanie's links to their gifts as well. I'm going to get the other speakers too. Anyone else want to share or, something that that I've asked this of the new speakers that you see a lot of with the women that you work with, whether it be number one obstacle or number one success, the first win for them, so to speak, that you see for your clients.
I'll speak on something I often see, especially working with busy moms, is skipping meals, and it backfires so much
Yes.
because then like they think, okay, it's fine, I'll skip a meal and I'll save calories that way. But then like somebody comes by with donuts in the office and it's like, okay, it's like really hard to resist something that's super dense in calories.
Healthcare is
I-
so
What's
those of us
that?
who healthcare. I worked in hospital setting, I
Oh
worked in
gosh.
surgery center, and they all bring in the donuts
Yes.
and the cakes and they're the worst culprits.
Oh my gosh, our bariatric clinic. My coworker and I, every time we just cringe, we take a picture of this and post it on social media. It's so bad. But yeah, I find that it always backfires. Or then they'll sit down and, finally sit down for dinner and it's like not just one plate of food, but it's a second plate of food. And then that's where the grazing at the end of the day comes in.
Yeah.
So when they're skipping meals, I just find it always backfires and people end up eating way more than they intended throughout the day because your body wants a certain number of calories for everything it needs to do throughout the day, even your brain to work. And so it's going to get them at some point. And when we get them all at one time, all at the end of the day, that's, not optimal for weight loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Eat when your body tells you to eat. Where that's very common in healthcare too. I worked in a very busy ER and it's like you eat when you can. And I ate like it took me like 5-7 minutes to eat my meal because I was like fresh and back. Leon, you have your hand up.
Yeah, uh, what I noticed that when a new client comes, I see all the limitations he or she has with whatever problem she comes or he comes. But as Vanessa was talking, the most important thing I noticed that you eat not when you're hungry, but just before that. Because when you're starting noticing that you're hungry, your eyes will eat, not your stomach. Your
Yes.
hormones will eat. So you will eat a lot more and then have consequences because you will have stomach acid or whatever. But when you're starting to be hungry-ish, let's say, you will eat just right amount of whatever you need to eat, just because you're not hungry yet. And so your eyes won't shop. So when you go shopping hungry, don't do it. You will buy all the junk food, all the nasty stuff.
Everything looks good.
Then something that you actually need. So always have stomach full. So when you go shopping or in the restaurant, so that you will eat just the right amount of food you actually need. That's it.
Absolutely.
I was going
Don't
to say
feed the
one thing that
hangries.
yeah, the hangries are really interesting because my husband gets them, and when I tell him, I think you should have a granola bar or something, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, we've passed the point of no return
That's
now.
how my dad is too. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're getting pale and diaphoretic. You need to eat. Your blood sugar is dropping because he's also hypoglycemic. He's like, but I'm not hungry.
I'm not
Like,
hungry. Yeah, I'm
but you need to
fine.
eat.
I'm fine.
Yep.
I was actually going to just contribute that one of the things I find really fun with my clients who are working with emotional eating is that one sort of aha moment that they very often have is I say, if you are physically hungry, you're going to go and open the refrigerator and you could eat anything in there. And if you are emotionally hungry, you're going to go and you're going to look in the fridge and you're going to say, that one thing that I want isn't there.
Mhm.
And so like just really identifying like
So
what kind
true.
of hunger is that can be super helpful. It doesn't stop everything for anyone necessarily, but it's a really interesting observation to make. And I've had clients come up with sort of tests for themselves. Like I have one who has a tuna fish test. If I will eat a tuna fish sandwich, then I'm really hungry because I don't like tuna fish.
Yes.
If I will eat carrot sticks, I'm really hungry. And it's just a really fun exercise to play with, like what tells
Emotional
you
versus
that you're
physical
hungry.
hunger.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Cindy, you got your hand raised?
Yeah, along some of the lines that everyone's been talking about is a common theme that I see with women, and when we shift it, they get the results, is the whole concept of chrononutrition. So when we eat. So I think we tend to put it on its head because if we're trying to lose weight, especially as women, what do? We say we do good all day because we're skipping, skimping, skipping, skimping, and then we're famished later in the day. And so that's when all of the calories come in. So that's backloading. When we do know, physiologically, we're a lot more insulin receptive. Our metabolism is much higher, our digestion is much stronger in that first half of a circadian day. So we really need to kind of shift things more forward and try to limit the portions later in the day. I mean, they in the research, it's showing that if we have a lot less calories later in the day, we can lose weight. Whereas if we are backloading our calories, we're not going to lose weight. And that's why, because physiologically we just can't handle that. And then extending that fasting window too has been super helpful for women, but you have to get enough nutrition earlier in the day. Otherwise, we're risking
Yes.
that restriction and the under eating.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Cindy. Lita?
I want to add, we talk a lot about nutrition, and because when I work with clients, a lot of it is the physical related. We're connecting movement into this.
Yeah.
And the mindset I run into often is that they use exercise or food as punishment
Yeah.
or reward. And what I mean by that is I ate XYZ. Usually it's something bad like a brownie or whatever.
Mhm.
So I have to exercise, right? I ate, so I have to do this. Or I walked for 30 minutes, so I get to eat that brownie. And we overestimate our calories used, burned,
Mhm.
versus and underestimate the calories consumed. So
Yeah.
when you disconnect that relationship of exercise or punishment reward and say, I'm going to move because I love to, and I'm going to eat because I'm fueling my body, then you see a real shift in and change and
Yeah.
acceleration, both in weight loss and in their excitement to move.
Yeah, and food as reward is so common. I mean, think about it. Friday, going out to eat. Oh, it's been such a crazy work week. Let's just go out, and let's just go out to eat and eating typical foods that you might not eat during the regular work week. But that whole comment, but I've been so good, I deserve it, right? Is another one I typically hear. Or I had one client goes, I'm just so bored with being good. I was like, well, what does good mean to you? Let's just reframe how we're thinking about things here. I get so bored at being good. And we actually have a naughty, we call it every time I hear say the word naughty, British accent comes out because I worked with one of my good friends is British. And anytime she says naughty, we have a naughty menu, things that they can do that are out of the box that aren't going to get them in jail or someone else in jail as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Lee, because that's such a huge point, punishment versus reward. And I'm moving my body because I love it. I love to, and I feel good, and I'm fueling my body with food. Absolutely. Lisa agrees. Naughty menu. There's like things. One of them is, and they're like things that, like one of them is take the tag off your mattress that says do not remove, things that, and everyone goes, I still have that on my mattress. Like outside the box, things, one of them is actually, don't wear underwear, let it breathe downstairs. Yep. So a couple of things that they can do that are like naughty as well, so that they're not so bored with being good. One of the common things, because my program is designed with mind being the overall arching theme of the program, reprogramming the unconscious mind to automate what they want versus what they don't want. Most all my clients are specifically, they've done multiple programs, multiple diets, seen little to no results, constantly regaining weight back, and now their health, they're seeing the health issues correlating with that is what's the identity that they're in that's underlying these past programs, and then to reprogram the unconscious mind, because they come with a mindset, and I hate to call it mindset because it's so much more than just mindset, or they come with an identity of, I struggle to lose weight, I'm never going to release weight, this is just my destiny. You can put multiple things in there, like that's their identity that they're going back into, which is why they're going back to those old patterns of behavior, going to the sugar, going to the unhealthy food, going to not moving their body, things like that. So I see a lot of mindset, identity. We do a lot of thought work as well to reprogram the unconscious mind. Because was me. I used to binge eat. And even when I stopped binge eating, I still had that I am statement because I was a binge eater. So still having that identity, I still had binge episodes. And so I really, worked on that identity shift, So that's the overall arching theme of my program that I do with my clients with that. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else have any questions, other speakers? Yeah. Paying attention to understanding food choices, absolutely, absolutely, because there's always an emotion or feeling before an action. There's always a thought before the emotion and the feeling. And what's the driving force of the thought, emotion, feeling, action is identity. So that's where we kind of go from with that. Absolutely. How do you feel?
I would agree. Just to add to that, in specifically more in the area of food sensitivities and the fact that so many people don't understand that they actually have them. You know, a
Yes.
good deal of the work, when you talk about things that you've learned and that kind of thing, you grow up, and even when you were speaking about demonizing foods, right? And
Yeah.
the foods that you were grown up with and that kind of thing. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest and we're all casseroles and dairy
Yes.
and
Baptist
baked goods,
church,
okay?
potlucks.
And I mean, I didn't know until I was like 28 that I'm actually significantly sensitive to pretty much all dairy. So, but I grew up, that was normal for
Yes.
me, right? Like how it actually showed up in my body and how I felt and how I looked and all of that kind of thing that was normal for the first 29 years of my life. Was that I'm always bloated. Every time after a meal, I would feel gross. I'd have to pop a button on my pants. I just thought that's what everybody experienced. I mean, it's all I know. And I think
Yeah.
too, sometimes we have to understand that, we're given all this information about these are the good foods and these are the bad foods, or, eat all your vegetables and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that your body sometimes is going to have some things that it doesn't like, and when you talk about power foods versus pleasure foods, I think it's power foods as like, what is fueling your body? What is
Absolutely.
helping it to support it, to make it feel good and function optimally? That's really where we should be going, And so then if you know what your personal triggers are, you have to do a little detective work, you have
Because
to
it's
kind of
different
figure
for
that out.
everyone. Yeah,
It's so different. And, I mean, here's the reality, right? Your body changes. I mean, it
absolutely.
does. So we're talking about the season of life and the changes and everything else. It happens with your food responses also, and how how you can best support the health of your body, and that your body is constantly changing and evolving. You have to kind of
Yeah.
teach people how to pay attention to that. I think a lot of what I work with people is awareness and intention, and in all areas of their life. But yeah, we start with food. Let's kind of dial it down and then build it back up and really pay attention, be that detective and pay attention to how is your body really responding. It will tell you.
Yeah.
You have to learn to listen. You have to learn to watch the signs.
Absolutely. And part of hearing the signals of our body, sometimes we're too toxic, we're too stressed, we're too sleep deprived, because that was me, and I'm highly reactive to gluten. And I have clinical depression on both sides of my family. So my down episodes, I never needed to, to get the medication, but I could feel myself spiraling down, completely resolved. Like once I got those food sensitivities out of my eating repertoire, so to speak, like it really did impact my mood as well. Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's something that I didn't know, and I, as a registered nurse, I'm like, reading all about the peanut allergies, but not specifically food sensitivities and how they work differently on the body and how they impact the body as well. We could do a whole nother 2 hours on that one too. That, I think, Leon, did you have your hand up, or someone had their hand up? Did I miss?
I did, but I have to go. But
Okay.
another topic would be, since we were talking about food and everything that is good or bad for us, is how our blood types affect our, let's say, good and bad foods. It's for me, I love spinach, but the problem is with combination with potatoes or smashed potatoes. Well, it doesn't make my stomach ache. It does make my stomach ache, and I have acid afterwards. So I avoid spinach with potato, but if I make if my wife makes like moussaka style potato spinach-ish vegetables, make me wok, it's okay. Anyway, I have to
Yeah.
go.
Abs-
So,
Thank
but
you so much for being here, Leon. Appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah. So
bye.
listen to your body and how your body responds to the food. Like I can't do green peppers, but I can do red and yellow. So listening how the food impacts your body. Awesome. And someone, a participant just said this has been fascinating. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. So tomorrow going to be same time, 11 8 Eastern time for the last day of the summit. You still have 48 hours for today's session. You had day 2 is still open, but it's going to close tomorrow at 8 a.m. And then Friday's session is going to be open till Sunday at 8 a.m. But you can always upgrade to the Weight Freedom Pack and have lifetime access to everything. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be doing a live session called Beyond Food, the 4 moves to make to permanently release the weight and get fit and healthy. It's going to be the same Zoom link. It's going to be in your emails as well. That's going to be about an hour and 10 minutes in duration for that live session. Thank you so much for everyone who joined today and participated. Don't forget that that will be recorded. Absolutely, that will be recorded and uploaded to the day 4 session. So don't forget the bingo card prizes are still up for grabs. If you are not in the Facebook group, you can email your bingo, your card to hello@dietlessdieting.com. If you're not on Facebook, and if you won bingo, just submit that to hello@dietlessdieting.com. And today is the last day to submit your application for the scholarship to my academy. There's going to be one winner. You do not need to be on live to win, but I need contact information that you're going to be checking your email or your cell phone so that we can contact you about that. Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Thanks, Pamela.
Eastern time. You're so welcome. Take care.